I want you to picture a scenario for me. And I want you to really put yourself there because for most of us, this is kind of a recurring nightmare.
Okay, yeah, set the scene.
So you have spent 20 years mastering a specific craft. Let us say you are a coder. You know the language inside out. You have your stack. You have your custom libraries. You have your, triple monitor setup with the mechanical keyboard that sounds like a machine gun.
Oh, I know the type.
Right. You are arguably the best in the world at this specific setup. You have optimized every single variable.
I can picture it perfectly. You are an absolute machine.
Exactly. And then the biggest challenge of your career drops. The boss fight, if you will. But right before you start, someone walks in, takes your computer, takes your keyboard, unplugs the internet, hands you a crayon and a napkin, and just says, win.
Oh, wow, that is panic-inducing. That is the definition of stress right there.
It feels completely impossible, right? But here's the thing. We have spent this entire season of classic Mosaic truth analyzing the strategy of the sword saint, undefeated in 61 duels. We have looked at his stance on the earth, his fluidity in water, the sheer violence of fire. But when he sat down to write his final scroll, the culmination of his entire life's work, the lesson was not, here is the best blade to buy.
No, it definitely was not.
And it was not, here is the secret unblockable move that will save you.
Far from it.
His final lesson was basically throw the weapon away.
It is the ultimate paradox. And honestly, it is probably the hardest concept to truly understand.
It sounds totally insane, and that is exactly what we are breaking down today. Welcome back to our comprehensive exploration. If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
Let us get right into it then.
We are wrapping up our journey through the classic text, Miyamoto Musashi, the Book of Five Rings, and we are tackling the final, most confusing, and frankly, most dangerous concept in the whole text, the concept of having no sword.
I'm really glad you used the word dangerous there, because if you get this wrong, you do not just fail, you get wiped out. The stakes here are incredibly high.
High stakes indeed. So just to clarify right up front for everyone listening, this is not an audio session about pacifism, right?
No, not at all. This is not Musashi saying, hey, cannot we all just get along? And it certainly is not about giving up or just winging it when things get hard.
Because that is the trap. People hear that phrase and think, oh, cool, I do not need to prepare, I will just improvise.
Exactly. They think, I will just vibe my way through the conflict. No. He was a survivor. He was writing for people who woke up every single morning knowing someone might try to end their life before dinner.
Right.
When he talks about this concept, he is asking a very specific question regarding everyday survival. What happens when the tools you rely on, your software, your team, your business plan, your physical strength, are suddenly stripped away? Do you crumble, or do you win anyway?
It is like the ultimate MacGyver protocol.
In a sense, yeah. It is the fundamental shift from being a master of a tool to being a master over the tool.
I really love that distinction. We are looking for the mindset that makes the life hack completely unnecessary. We're pulling from the source text, obviously, but we're also going to layer in some modern psychology on habit formation, cognitive flexibility, and see how the 17th century wisdom actually survives in our modern world.
It is the move from learning the steps to actually dancing. This is the integration of everything we have covered.
I'm ready to jump into the void. So let us start with the definition, because I feel like the translation loses something here. If I take it literally, he is telling a soldier to walk onto a battlefield empty-handed, which seems, suicidal.
Terrible advice if you take it literally. If you walk into a conflict with empty hands because you heard it on our show, please do not blame us.
Disclaimer noted.
But he is speaking metaphorically here. It is about dependency. Let us unpack the phrase. It really comes down to this idea of, mastery without dependency.
Okay, I'm tracking with you.
Think about the writer you mentioned. Or let us take a photographer. You know the type, right? They can only shoot if they have the $5,000 lens, the perfect golden hour lighting, and the tripod set to exactly 42 inches.
Oh, I know that guy. I cannot shoot today. The light is too flat.
Exactly. They are technically proficient. They understand all the settings. But are they a master photographer? Or are they a dependent photographer?
They're completely dependent on the conditions.
Right. The tool, the camera, the light, the tripod has become a crutch. Musashi is looking at that and saying, you are fragile. Because what if the camera breaks? What if the sun goes behind a cloud? If your ability to create value disappears when your tool disappears, you do not own the skill. The tool owns you.
That hits really hard. It is about that human tendency to just cling to things.
We love to cling. We cling to tools, we cling to rigid plans, and we really, really cling to professional identities. I am a Java developer.
And then the language gets updated, or a new framework comes out, or artificial intelligence starts writing the code for you.
And suddenly, you have an existential crisis. Who am I if I am not a Java developer? He says you are a strategist. The tool was just Java. The tool was just the blade. But you are the weapon.
So he is clearly distinguishing between the objective and the method.
Precisely. This is critical. If you take one thing away from this segment, take this. The objective is steady. It is concrete. Back then, the objective was survive. Today, it might be close the sale or fix the bug. That does not change. But the method must be fluid.
Right. The objective stays the same, so objective, steady methods change.
Exactly. So play that out. The objective is victory. I have my main weapon.
You use the weapon.
The weapon breaks.
You use a spear.
I do not have a spear.
You use the wooden oar from the boat you arrived in.
Which he actually did, famously.
He did.
And if the oar breaks, you use your hands, if your hands are bound. You use the terrain. You maneuver the opponent so the sun is right in their eyes. The objective is absolute. The method is totally irrelevant. It shifts instantly based on what is available to you.
It reminds me of the two swords philosophy we talked about early on. He started by saying use both the long and the short blade. But this is taking it a massive step further. It is be willing to use neither.
That is the core of it. It is about removing the clinging mind. When we cling to a specific way of doing things like, I only work well in the mornings, or I only exercise at this specific gym, we become fragile. This concept is the state of being anti-fragile.
Anti-fragile, meaning you do not just survive the chaos, you actually get better because of it.
Yes, because if I am attached to my plan and the plan breaks, I panic. If I am attached to victory by any means and the plan breaks, I just see it as a change in terrain. Oh, the plan is gone? Great. Now I can use improvisation. You become dangerous because you are totally unpredictable.
This leads right into the concept of resourcefulness. The sources mention he was totally obsessed with the environment. The sun, the rocks, the killers in the room.
He was the ultimate pragmatist. A lot of schools at the time were very dojo-focused. You stand on a nice flat wooden floor, you bow, you execute the perfect form. He said, that is fake. Real conflict happens in mud. It happens in the dark. It happens when you are exhausted.
He literally talks about using the sun to blind your opponent.
Yes, stand with the sun behind you. But it goes deeper. In one famous duel, he arrived late. Why? To irritate his opponent, he used the opponent's anger as a weapon. He used the time of day as a weapon. He used their psychological state. He wasn't relying just on his physical skill. He was using the entire universe as his inventory.
So instead of complaining that the office politics are bad,
you use them. Office politics is just terrain. You do not complain that the mountain is steep. You take the high ground so the other person has to run uphill. A master strategist does not wait for perfect conditions. They use what is currently in the room.
it's about calm adaptation.
Yes, calm adaptation is everything.
So it's principles over props.
Beautifully said. If you focus on the prop, like, what app do I use to organize my life? You are missing the point. The question should be, what is the principle of organization I'm trying to achieve?
Right.
If you know principles, say, capture ideas immediately.
Hmm.
You can do that with a fancy app or a voice memo or a piece of charcoal on a cave wall.
It is the difference between buying a new pair of super expensive running shoes and actually being a runner.
That is the perfect analogy. We have all bought the shoes thinking they would do the running for us.
Guilty as charged. But I want to push back on this for just a second.
Please do.
It sounds absolutely exhausting. If I have to constantly assess the terrain and the sun and improvise my tools, isn't that a massive cognitive load? The whole reason I have a standard operating procedure or a favorite app is so I do not have to think. Isn't he asking us to overthink everything?
That is a fantastic question. And it brings us to the why behind all of this. He would argue that clinging is actually what causes the exhaustion.
Oh, so
Think about the energy you spend worrying about your tools. Is the internet connection stable? Is my battery charged? Did I bring the right notebook? What if they do not like my slide deck? That is fear. That is pure anxiety.
true. I spend half my morning just worrying about the setup.
This mindset is completely empty of that worry. It is not frantic calculation. It is calm acceptance. Whatever happens, I will handle it. That actually reduces cognitive load. You aren't simulating 1,000 disaster scenarios because you trust your ability to adapt to the one scenario that actually happens.
So it completely removes the fear of the what if.
Immensely. Fear often comes from the thought, What if I lose my main tool? What if I lose this job title? When you practice this, that fear vanishes because you know you are the weapon, not the thing in your hand. Outcomes improve dramatically when you remove the fear of changing your methods.
This feels like the perfect moment to step back and look at the whole picture. Because we are getting very philosophical, which is great, but we need to ground this in the system. We've spent the last few weeks going through the 5 rings one by one.
Earth, water, fire, wind, void.
But he did not write them as 5 separate blog posts. They have one complete system. They are a body. How does throwing the tool away connect back to everything else? Because I feel like if you just jump to this final step without the others, you are just chaotic.
You are, and this is the grand synthesis. You cannot really improvise effectively if you have not done the work of the other rings. It connects all of them. Earth, water, fire, wind, void.
Okay, let us walk through them. Let us stress test this against the other rings. Start with Earth.
Earth is the foundation. It is the rhythm of the carpenter. It implies knowing the measurements, the materials, the tools.
So if this final concept is throwing the tool away, how does that fit Earth?
You have to know how to use the tool before you can throw it away.
Yeah.
This is absolutely critical. He is not saying, do not train. He is saying, train so hard that the training is in your cells. If you do not know the basics of your craft, if you do not know earth dropping the tool just makes you incompetent.
Right. A jazz musician can improvise not because they ignore music theory, but because they know it so perfectly they can break it.
Exactly. Earth gives you the competence to be resourceful. Without earth, improvising is just flailing around. You need the foundation to be able to build something new on the side.
Okay, so you need the structure of Earth to earn the freedom of the final scroll. What about water?
Water is the method. Remember, the water scroll is about the spirit, keeping the spirit calm, not tense, adapting to the shape of the container.
Be water, my friend.
To see the alternative resources available to you, to see the ore when you do not have the blade, your mind must be totally fluid. If your mind is frozen, rigid, icy, you only see the obstacle. Oh no, I do not have my preferred setup. That is a frozen mind. A fluid mind flows right around the obstacle, no setup. Okay, I will use a pen.
So water is the perception mechanism.
Yes, water is what allows you to transition instantly without that sticky feeling of disappointment. You do not grieve the loss of the plan, you just flow into the new plan.
Now, fire. This is the one I struggle to fit in sometimes. Fire is aggression. It is timing. It is the spark.
Fire is the engine of resourcefulness. Resourcefulness is not passive. It is not sitting back and waiting for a solution to just magically appear. It requires the spark to act decisively when the plan changes.
Give me an example of that.
You are in a major presentation. The projector bulb blows out.
Nightmare scenario again.
Earth is knowing your topic so well, you do not need the slides. Water is staying calm and not sweating. But fire. Fire is the energy to instantly clap your hands and say, great, the bulb is dead. Everyone pull your chairs in close. We're going to do this analog. Let us talk.
Oh, I really like that. It is seizing the initiative.
You do not apologize. You do not hesitate. You attack the new reality. That is fire. You turn the disaster into a stage.
Then we have wind. The wind scroll was all about criticizing other schools.
It was about understanding the biases of others and avoiding style traps.
How does that apply here?
Throwing away the tool is the ultimate rejection of style. He hated schools that said, we only use the long blade or we only focus on speed. He called them weak.
Because they are completely predictable.
And limited. This mindset says, I am not this style or that style. I am just effective. If you encounter a problem at work and you say, well, as a designer, I think we should do this, you are using a wind style. You are limiting yourself to the designer school. This mindset says, I do not care about the title. What solves the problem?
It destroys the silo mentality. You are not a designer or a manager. You are a problem solver.
Completely. And finally, the void, emptiness.
We talked about this last time.
The void is the hardest to explain, but the absolute most important. It is clean perception, no confusion. It is seeing reality exactly as it is, not how you desperately want it to be.
How is that different from water?
Water is about your reaction, the adapting part. Void is about the absolute truth. When you rely on a tool, you are looking at the world through the tool. You see a nail because you are holding a hammer.
Maslow's hammer.
Exactly. When you put the hammer down, you enter the void. You stop seeing nails. You just see the wood. You see the reality in front of you without the filter of, this is how we usually do it. It is the ultimate clarity.
So the grand synthesis is, earth gives you the skill, water gives you the calm, fire gives you the initiative, wind keeps you flexible, and void gives you the truth.
And when you have all five, you do not need the tool. You are the tool.
That makes a ton of sense. It turns the entire text from a reading list into a checklist for action.
And speaking of action, the sources also bring back two metaphorical terms we touched on briefly before, the killing sword and the life-giving sword.
I remember those.
In this context, they take on a really beautiful meaning. Think of the killing sword not as harm, but as decisive clarity and boundaries. It cuts away the unnecessary. It is the ability to cut away your own excuses. It is the ability to look at your comfortable routine and kill it because it is simply not working.
It is the ability to firmly say no to the fluff.
Correct.
Yeah.
And a life-giving sword. That is the ultimate resourcefulness. It is using wisdom and perception to prevent conflict or build something entirely new.
Can you give me a real-world example of that life-giving perception?
Negotiation. The standard approach is, I have a leverage point, and I'm going to use it to beat you into submission until I get the best price.
Standard business practice for a lot of people.
Often, yes. But the life-giving approach. You drop the leverage, you drop the threat, you sit down and say, look, neither of us wants to be here all night. What is the actual underlying problem we are trying to solve? You use your resourcefulness to invent a third option that helps both sides. You turn the enemy into an ally.
You do not win the argument, you transform the situation so the argument just disappears.
Exactly. That is the highest level of strategy. Winning without fighting.
I love that. It takes it from a battlefield tactic to a total life philosophy. But, and I have to play the role of the learner here, this is all very high level. I am feeling inspired, but I'm also feeling like I am going to walk out of the studio, open my email, and immediately forget all of this and go straight back to panic mode.
The knowledge-action gap. It is very real.
Yeah, exactly. How do we actually do this? We need a protocol.
We do. And fortunately, we can distill a practice from this. It is a simple maintenance schedule to keep this mindset alive.
Walk us through it.
It has three parts. First, one short daily reset. This is your morning check-in. You ask yourself, is my spirit calm? Is my stance settled? This is the earth and water check. You are just making sure you are not starting the day tilted or anxious.
Okay, simple enough. Just a quick mental scan. And you mentioned a weekly review ritual.
Yes. Second is that weekly review. Look back at your week and ask, where did I cling to a tool that failed? And where was I resourceful? This is the win check, looking for your own biases and style traps.
Identifying where we got stuck because we were just being stubborn.
Exactly. And third, one weekly skill focus. Pick one small, fundamental, an earth element to polish. Maybe it is your typing speed. Maybe it is your active listening skills. Maybe it is how you organize your files. Just one small thing to refine. This keeps your foundation strong so you can actually improvise when you need to.
I like that. It is totally manageable. One daily check, one weekly review, one weekly skill. Now let us make this even more real. We have 3 scenarios from the sources. Let us see how a practitioner handles them versus a normal person.
Let us do it.
Scenario 1, work. A major project plan completely fails, or a necessary piece of software crashes right before a massive deadline. Panic mode.
The normal response is to freeze or complain. I cannot do my work because the system is down. That is dependency. The masterful response is immediate resourceful adjustment without panic. The practitioner asks, what is the objective? The objective is to get the information to the client. The method, the software is broken. So what is the simplest analog solution? Can I call them? Can I write it on a piece of paper and take a photo? Can I send a summary text? You find the path that is open?
You stop fighting the closed door and just look for a window.
Correct. You do not waste a single second wishing the door was open. You just move to the window.
Scenario 2, relationships. There is rising tension in a conversation. An argument is brewing. The usual scripts, I am right and you are wrong, are not working.
The tool here is the argument. We usually cling to it. We want to use our logic to cut the other person down.
Yeah.
The masterful response is to drop the argument tool entirely. Create space. Choose calm clarity. Listen to the intent, not just the words. You switch from fighting to perceiving. You ask, what is actually happening here? That is the life-giving approach.
You disarm yourself to disarm the situation.
Beautifully put. And often, when you drop your defensiveness, the other person drops theirs too.
Scenario 3, habits. This one hits home for me. You miss a few days of a habit, inconsistency sets in, the streak is completely broken.
The streak is the tool. We get incredibly attached to the streak. I have done 100 days in a row. When the streak breaks, we feel like the whole endeavor is ruined. Well, I missed yesterday, so I might as well just give up.
The what the hell effect.
Exactly. The resourceful response is to return to baseline. You do not abandon the goal just because the perfect streak tool is broken. You have to adjust method, not objective.
Keep the objective, change the method.
You do a smaller version today. You realize the objective is health, not a number on a calendar. You keep the objective, you change the method, and you keep moving.
That is so freeing. It is not about being perfect. It is about keeping the objective in sight.
Which leads us right into a very practical exercise. If you are listening to this and feeling stuck or overwhelmed or like your tools are failing you, we have a guided exercise from the sources, a total reset.
Let us walk through it. Listeners, you can do this right now or just visualize it for later. So step one is just pause and soften.
Yes, pause and soften the body. Release the physical tension. You cannot be resourceful if you are physically stiff. Remember the water scroll. Relax the body to free the spirit.
Okay, I am relaxing. Shoulders are down. What is next?
Step 2. Name the objective in one single sentence. What are you actually trying to do? Not, I need to fix this spreadsheet, but I need to analyze this data.
Got it. The core goal.
Step 3. Name what tool or plan you are clinging to. Identify the dependency. I am clinging to the idea that the spreadsheet must work perfectly.
Calling out the obstacle.
Step 4. Ask what principle matters most right now. Is it speed? Is it accuracy? Is it human connection?
Identifying the core value.
Step 5. List 2 alternative methods that still serve that objective. If the spreadsheet is dead, what are 2 other ways to get that data analyzed? Pen and paper, a desk calculator, asking a colleague to review it.
Brainstorming options.
Then you choose simplest method.
Do not look for the perfect one, just the available one.
Exactly. Step 6 is choosing the simplest method available right now.
And finish with one proof action.
Yes. Step 7. Commit to one proof action today. Do one small thing that proves you can move forward without your primary tool. This completely breaks the paralysis.
That is powerful. It cuts right through the noise. But I imagine people still get this wrong quite a bit. What are the common mistakes when trying to apply this?
There are a few big ones. First mistake is overspecialization. People think dropping the tool means I do not need to know anything. But he said, know the ways of all professions. You need a broad base of knowledge to be resourceful. If you only know one thing, you have no alternatives to switch to when things go wrong.
So be a generalist as well as a specialist.
Second mistake is mistaking this concept for laziness. Oh, I will just improvise. I do not need to prepare. No. It requires much more discipline to improvise effectively than to follow a script. You have to keep training the earth fundamentals so your improvisation actually has substance.
It is like jazz again. You cannot improvise if you do not know your scales.
Exactly. Third mistake is panicking when the plan breaks. This comes from a lack of mental preparation. The fix is pre-acceptance. Visualize the plan failing. See yourself adapting. If you have already simulated the failure in your mind, it will not shock you when it happens.
Basic stoicism right there. Premeditation of evils.
Fourth mistake is intellectualizing. We're doing a lot of talking here, but he demands practice. If you just think about this concept, it is completely useless. You have to actually do it. Action over theory.
And the final mistake.
Fifth mistake is ignoring the environment. We get so stuck in our heads. The fix is to look outward. The solution is often in the room with you, physically. It is in the terrain, the people, the context. Get out of your head and into the world.
We have covered so much ground today, and really, throughout this whole season, it feels like we have built a complete, resilient structure.
We have. If we look back at the journey, it is a beautiful flow.
Let us recap it for everyone.
We started with the ground, building an unshakable foundation of standards and habits. Then we learned to flow like water, adapting our methods to every container and situation. We ignited the fire of decisiveness, learning to seize the initiative and control the timing. We studied the wind to understand the biases of others and avoid the traps of rigid traditions. We entered the void to see reality clearly, without the delusion of our own ego. We wielded the killing sword to cut away distraction and hesitation. And finally, we embraced the life-giving sword to lead with perception, distance, and humanity.
It is a complete path, from the ground up to the void and back to the heart.
And the beautiful thing is, it is a circle. You never finish. You just go back to the earth scroll and start refining your foundation all over again, but at a much higher level.
That is the true way of mastery. It is not a destination, it is a lifelong practice. Well, this has been an incredible journey. I want to encourage you, the listener, to not just let this be the end. Go back to episode 1. Listen to the playlist as a complete course. You will hear things in the earth scroll now that you missed the first time because you did not understand the void yet.
And we would really love to hear from you. What principle helped you the most? Was it the calmness of water, the decisiveness of fire, or this idea of resourcefulness?
Leave us a comment and let us know. It helps us know what to explore next.
And remember, the ultimate tool is the one you do not even need to draw.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Past knee.